Let's get started. So I'm making this video today so I can basically talk about my Colorado Trail experience and why I did decide to come off trail. Starting out on this trip, I had a couple different things that I wanted to accomplish. One, I wanted to prove to myself that I could go out solo, camp by myself, and just be alone. That's really my first solo backpacking trip, especially that far from home. The second thing was prove that I could, physically hold up. Prove that I could do a 20-mile day. I'd never done a 20-mile day before. That was something I wanted to prove. Can I do a long day, and can I do them back-to-back days? And with that, physically, would my feet hold up? Did I have the proper shoe combination, shoe and sock combination, things like that? And then kind of lastly is my gear. Is my gear set up correct for me? I had, spent a lot of time over the past couple years kind of honing in my kit and preparing to do a longer through hike type scenario, and I wanted to kind of check that off the list, that yes, this is a good kit for me and this works for me. So basically started the trail. Everything was great. I felt great. The weather was beautiful the first day. I ended up doing a little over 16 miles the first day, which was kind of a big day. I had not anticipated on that big of a day, but the water sources were sort of dried up, so that's just kind of out of necessity. I had to do that big of a day. And honestly, the one thing that I knew I wasn't going to be able to prepare for fully was the mental aspect of the trip. And that's different for everyone. For me, it was being away from home, being away from my wife, being away from my dogs. That part of it is difficult, and I don't want to say I underestimated that. I knew it was going to be difficult to fully prepare without just going out there and immersing myself in the situation. Even by the end of that first day, I was playing mind games with myself, and I had already decided, you know what, I highly doubt I'm going to be out here a month. Basically, I was thinking about things that I wanted to do when I got home. I'm thinking about sort of the next adventure and the next chapter of my wife and I's life, as far as travel nursing and things of that nature. And, I wasn't focused. And, but ultimately, hiked the first good day, met some awesome people. The second day, I hiked 20 miles. So I was sitting at like a little over 36 miles by the second night. I was exhausted. My body, I was exhausted, physically and mentally. But I felt good. My feet had no blisters. I did have some chafing issues that you guys may have seen in the first video I posted. But that wasn't a big deal. Overall, I felt good with my body. And as crazy as it sounds, that's one of the reasons why I felt okay getting off the trail. Had my body not performed how I wanted to, or had I still maybe questioned my body and my physical abilities, I wouldn't have felt comfortable. I wouldn't have felt comfortable getting off trail because I would still have something to prove to myself. But the fact that my body did feel good, the fact that I felt like my feet were holding up, and I felt, even though it was a short amount of time, it was enough time for me to prove to myself that, I can do this. It's just repeating this and continuing to take care of my body, but I can do this. So I sort of checked that box off in my mind, along with my gear. Gear was great. And I knew it was. I mean, I've done many a weekend hikes getting this gear right, but to kind of go out there and prove to myself, I sort of checked that box. And finally, I checked that box of, hey, can I come out here by myself and do this? And the answer was yeah. I mean, I did it. Granted, I just actually stayed 2 nights on trail, um, but yeah, I did it. It was just a matter of repeating that. So in my mind, I had essentially checked off every box except completing the trail, and that's where the mental aspect sort of came into play. And basically, um, I just wasn't prepared mentally. It's really hard to say exactly how I came to the decision, but it all started with the second night. Basically, I had an issue with my battery pack. My battery pack went dead. The next morning, I made it to the trailhead, which is right about mile 40, where you can go into Bailey. So I decided to hitch into Bailey to charge my battery pack, and kind of once I was in Bailey, I started looking at, okay, well, how difficult is it to get off trail at Breckenridge versus, other places? And basically, the conclusion I came up with was the further I got along, the more difficult and more expensive it was going to be for me to get back to Denver and ultimately get back to home here in North Carolina. So in an odd way, I didn't want to think about it much, and I called my wife and said, as crazy as it sounds, I'm ready to come home and I'm confident in my decision. It all worked out. I called a lady off the Colorado Trail Foundation shuttlers list. She just so happened to be going into Denver that day. She swung by, picked me up in Bailey, and next thing you know, I was in Denver getting on a red eye, flying back home to North Carolina. Now, two final things I want to say. One, have I had regrets? Yes. Matter of fact, I have went back and forth numerous times. Actually, the day I am filming this, today's Tuesday, I actually almost booked a flight back to Denver today to get back to Bailey and at least get on to Breckenridge, around the 100-mile mark. But I didn't, and I don't believe I'm going to this year. I've got plenty of time to think about it. The trail's going to be there, but it is very paradoxical. It's like they say, you're out there, and then you just want to get back home, and then you're home, and all you can think about is getting back on the trail. And so yeah, I have had regrets, but ultimately I am comfortable with my decision, and I have a lot to be thankful for and a lot of things to look forward to. So there's that. And number two, I want to say, ultimately, this is the beauty of it. The beauty of the entire situation was that I had the freedom to make a decision to come home and get off trail. My wife and I have really based our lives around living more minimalistically and more simplistically. And for those reasons alone, it wasn't a difficult decision for me. I hadn't, completely rearranged my entire life to do this trip, so to speak. Don't get me wrong, there were sacrifices made to plan it and to get to that point. That's just the beauty of the situation was, I did have the freedom to, I thought to myself, if there was anywhere in the world I could be right now, where would I be? And the first thing that popped in my head was home. So I came home. It's really as simple as that. I had the ability to do that and the freedom to do that. And, I love that aspect of my life as well. And, that's kind of it. So I made it home, and here I am. And the most difficult thing about coming off trail was worrying that I was going to disappoint someone, but I come to terms with myself that it was my decision. I didn't have anything to prove to anyone but myself. And, so that was another burden off my chest. Within myself, I was able to come to that reasoning. But honestly, all the support, all the messages on my inReach, all the text messages, all the love on my videos, it really means the world to me. And, that was definitely the most difficult thing about coming off trail was I was getting tons of support, and that means the world to me, and I appreciate each and every single one of you that wrote in and gave me your support. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to make that update. Ultimately, I came home from the Colorado Trail. I did not complete the final goal, but I checked off a lot of things on my bucket list, and I definitely look forward to getting back out there. I absolutely love Colorado. My wife has fallen in love with Colorado as well, and we may end up moving out there, or at least taking some travel nursing positions out there, and maybe living for a while. So you guys make sure to stay tuned. Going to be plenty more adventures, going to be plenty more videos to come, and I cannot wait to just get back out there in the world, do some travels, do some adventures, do some backpacking, and yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you next time.